Hello and welcome. This is the first tutorial on the Hypertext Markup language for web development. So the two core things you need is an editor. So any text editor. So gedit for Linux is the one I'm using. You've also got for Windows there's Notepad. Notepad++ is a improved version. There's also Adobe Dreamweaver and Microsoft Expression Web if you have the paid alternatives. I'd recommend using a normal text editor rather than a rich text such as Microsoft Office and OpenOffice, as these may be interpreted wrong. Second core thing you need is a web browser. In this case I'm using Mozilla Firefox. The majority of them, apart from the obvious one of Internet Explorer, are cross-platform, so Mozilla Firefox, Google Chrome, Safari or Opera should be available for most, if not all, platforms. Right, so to begin, there's two main parts to the structure of an HTML page. You start any page with tags. The tags go with triangular bracket, also known as the less than sign, whatever your tag's going to be called, so ABC for example, and then use the greater than sign to close. Then in between these tags you put whatever content you want, so I'll just use ... for sake of it, and then you'd close the tag by less than sign again, / the same name as you gave to the tag when you opened it, and then that, so they will close. But for any web page it's a standard to use HTML tag around everything, so HTML, I'll go down to the last line, and then / HTML and close the bracket. So in between these you'll put all your code. It's also important to use indenting, because if you're using a lot of code it can get pretty messy pretty quick. Right, so the two main parts of an HTML page is the head tag, which in between here you put all more functionality, so including style sheets, external scripts and any images you want to preload. So close the head tag. As well as that, you also need a place to put all your actual content, your text, your graphics, audio, video. So that comes the body tag. So same as head, you just declare it and then body. It's up to you, but it's good habit to get into if you can close tags as you open them, because when you're doing a lot of code you can often have errors that's just because of you missing something, so it can be better off closing as well as you're opening. Right, so to start with, for the header we'll give the page a title. This is done quite simply, a title tag, and then we'll close the tag on the same line because there isn't going to be enough content to go on to multiple lines. And between there you'd give a title to the page, so in this case we'll call it Hello World, because this is a core one used for most programming tutorials. So we'll save this, so do save as. It's important when you save a file to give it a prefix of either HTML or HTML on the end, otherwise it'll be interpreted, it'll save default as a text file or another format which a browser will recognise as text, not as a page, and won't process it. So in this case tutorial I'm calling it HTML1, you could call it Hello World or whatever you want before the dot, and so as long as it ends in HTML or HTML, and I'm going to go ahead and save. Already exists because I've been working off it before, so replace. It's up to you in future whether you want to use the save button to save once you've initially saved, or there's also the Control S shortcut on most browsers. Right, so to see what effect that's done, we're going to hit refresh on here, and as you notice there's no content here because the head section I told is just more functionality, but if you notice that Hello World has appeared in the tab of the browser. This is important when you go in having multiple tabs open so that users can quickly navigate between which pages they want when the multiple open. Right, so next we'll go on to the body tag. Like I say, it's all your content, so we'll start with the header, one that'll actually show this time. So For headers, rather than writing the word header like you may expect, you'd put an H to keep it shorthand and then a number depending on what size you want. Now there's 6 variations, H1 being the biggest, H2, H3, H4 up to H6 being the smallest. So we'll go ahead and keep it biggest to begin with. Same as with all the other tags so far. Close the tag straight after. When you close the header, you give it an H and then the same number used to start, and then you put a title in here, in which case we'll keep it basic and just put welcome. So now if we go ahead and refresh this, you've got welcome at the top of the page. Now welcome has a characteristic of any headers keep on the same aligned to themselves as such, so if there's stuff before it, it'll move on to the next line, and anything after it will be moved on to the next line, which is good for separating sections of pages. To go ahead and show the differences between the sizes, I'll now use a H2 header. So we'll call it section 1, keep it simple, and then close it, so /H2, close the tag, save, and now you see it's slightly smaller and it has been pushed onto a separate line. Next, as well as headers, you want to put your core text that you want to show on a page. That is done quite simply by just using a paragraph tag, but like the header, it's shorthand, so you just do a P. I'm going to leave a line because obviously paragraphs can be more than one line. So there's paragraph and then anything you want to put between it. So keep it to this is my first paragraph. Like that, just to keep it simple. So now if you save that, you got your header, your subheading of section 1, and this is my first paragraph as a paragraph. So now you've got the core of showing text on the screen, but what if you want to get between pages? Now this is done through links. Links, also known as anchors in HTML, is how it's described tag-wise, but rather than anchor you keep it shortened to A. So basically you would have close the tag again, so like that, and you'd put the text you want the link to show in here, so hello, and now if you hit refresh it's just text. Now the problem with that is, unlike normal tags, you have to set a parameter. Now parameters can be set within the opening tag before the opening tag is closed by leaving a space between the name, then putting the parameter name, so in this case it would be href, and then it equals, and then in speech marks whatever value you want to give. With links there's two types of links. There's relative, in which you go to a nearby page, so it looks in relation to where the current page is. So say if I've got one in the same folder called hello.html, I'll save that, and now it's a link. You show it's blue underlined by default. When you haven't clicked a link, because I've viewed it before, it's changed to a purple visited link. So now if I click this link, it will go to a page in the same directory called hello.html, which is similar layout. We've got your H1, and this, so you can see all the hellos of the different header sizes. So H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, H6, and then 2 paragraphs between them. As you can see, the H1 to 4 are most adequate for pages, as H5 and H6 by default can tend to be a little small, and most people expect headers to be quite large and stand out, so personal preference. If we go back to our last page, I've described the relative pages. Now we'll go to absolute. For absolute links, we'll use Google as an example. For the actual link, you've got to give the full URL, so http:// and then the website, so www.google.com. So now if we save that, refresh, the link's changed to Google, and now if we click Google, we will be taken to the Google homepage. Right, that's about it for this lesson. So take care and see you next time. Goodbye.